Years ago, I felt very anxious, I felt very depressed, I felt very unfulfilled in life, generally speaking. I was very isolated and felt very frustrated about a lot of things. So I turned towards destructive habits as a kind of release, really. It always felt like I was using drink and drugs as a way of medicating myself rather than just going out and partying, you know. So more than anything else, it felt like a way of coping. But then these things are very addictive, so if you don't find an alternative long-term solution to dealing with things and to healing, then you very quickly become dependent on substances just in order to function. It's often people carrying deep-rooted trauma or people with extreme behavioral traits that get caught up in, you know, addictive and highly destructive habits like these. And often you find that depressed people, they take drugs or they drink way too much just to feel some semblance of enthusiasm about life, but then they very quickly realize that what these things synthetically and temporarily provide, they take away again with interest, leaving you feeling worse than ever and feeling like you need another high just to dig yourself out of this desolate quandary that you've created for yourself. And so, you know, the cycle of addiction begins. Our behavior can get totally out of control when we're in this kind of situation. You know, we can behave like a complete dick, really hurting people that we care about, which really just ostracizes us from the people around us. It propagates an even more negative self-image that we have of ourselves and really just creates more of the same. Plus, we're poisoning ourselves, you know, we're placing a really toxic load on the body that has its own share of disease-causing consequences. So, sick body, sick mind. And when we're caught up in a cycle like that, it can feel almost impossible to find a way out and just lose hope of things ever getting any better, you know. And at that point, it's really easy to adopt this kind of victim mentality where we believe everything bad that's happening to us is either the fault of other people or it's just circumstances that are completely beyond our control, which of course is all bullshit. No matter what our personal history or backstory may be, we can always choose to live life in a different lane. But the transition towards better living habits probably isn't going to be an easy one, but neither is choosing to be unhealthy, emotionally all over the place and dependent on substances. So although it may not always feel like it, it is a choice. So anyway, here's some of what I did to give up drinking and embrace a much healthier lifestyle. Now, first of all, I had to come to terms with the fact that I was disgusted with how I was feeling on a day-to-day basis. You know, I was completely sick and tired of feeling unhealthy and of just the extreme highs and lows all the time. I just felt like an emotional mountain range. And as the addictive tendencies were already running super high, I just traded one addiction for another, but in this case, I traded the harmful habit of drinking alcohol with an obsession for eating healthy food and drinking really good water. And this is a really, really important step, you know, because you already have this addictive energy, and it's really important to ride that wave of addiction, you know, and not deny it. So becoming addicted to something healthy is pretty much essential. Eventually this can go too far though, you know, because addiction in itself is an unhealthy mindset, but we need to use it as a kind of tool, you know. So we have it already, so we need to turn it to our advantage. But, you know, in the health scene, you often come across people that have a history of addiction of some sort, and very often they are very extreme and unyielding proponents of the most extreme diets, you know, or health regimens. You know, I'm not naming any names. I'm sure if you're into health and you're online, you would have come across people like that. But eventually the usefulness of this approach pretty much runs its course, and it becomes healthier for us to start relaxing a little bit more, you know, broaden our horizons a little bit more. But in the beginning, being a bit rigid and fundamentalist about nutrition or fitness or whatever it can be a really useful tool, and it can really help dig us out of this dark place that we're in. Plus, by getting really obsessed about it, we can end up meeting new people that are really into that kind of stuff and surround ourselves with the kind of company that's conducive to succeeding. And this is a very important factor, you know, because when you're drinking too much, you often find that your so-called friends are not supportive at all of you giving up. You know, if you try to give up, if you try and drink less or give it up completely, they often put so much pressure on you to keep drinking, you know, mainly because they want to make themselves feel better about the fact that they're not doing shit to change anything in their lives. Now, I will admit this can be pretty difficult to make this sort of change for yourself, because it can and does involve deleting certain people from your social circle. You know, it feels pretty ruthless, but then during this transition period, it's very unlikely that you're going to feel strong enough in yourself to abstain in the face of temptation. So unfortunately, eliminating certain people from, you know, your socializing is an essential part of actually succeeding in giving this up. So getting more advanced or specific about health is something that, you know, that can come later on, but initially including some liver and kidney herbs into your daily life is going to be a real asset, because it's going to help you to cleanse away a lot of the toxicity that you would have accumulated during your period of heavy drinking. It's really going to help to heal the damage you would have done to these organs and just generally restore a sense of vitality again. So herbs like dandelion root, milk thistle, black root, schizandra, saffron, reishi mushroom, all of these are going to be really good for helping to unburden the liver and support liver function. And then herbs like green cardamom, horsetail, stinging nettle, prepared romania, prepared hoshowu, marshmallow leaf, all of these are going to be really great kidney tonics. Now obviously we're all going to have unique individual issues to contend with, you know, according to our personal constitution and other factors, but pretty much for everybody aiming to give up long-term booze consumption, supporting these organ systems is going to be essential. Now obviously there's like extreme detoxing, cleansing and fasting and all of this kind of thing, and some people are going to be better suited to that than others. But if you've got a lot of junk to get rid of, this can be a pretty rough ride doing that kind of short-term extreme cleanse. So using herbs like these on a regular basis, you know, it can give you a lot of the same effects, a lot of the same results, but it's safe, it's more gradual, and you can do it while still being able to get on with your life. Now, an important perspective to have on this subject, I think, is that the cells of the body have got lots of tiny little organelles inside them, and one of those is called the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Now, that carries out a number of important functions, but one of those functions is to neutralize the toxicity that is caused by like heavy drinking and drug use. And in liver cells, when we're drinking way too much, the smooth endoplasmic reticulum begins to replicate at a really fast rate in order to cope with this heavy toxic burden that we're placing on the liver. And it takes time for this process to reach a normal level, right? So this is why people often say in this situation, oh, you know, natural herbal medicines, they don't work, because they don't feel the effects of it straight away. And this is because your liver is all geared up to deal with like hardcore shit that you're putting into your body on a daily basis. So when you're trying to clean that up, there needs to be a period of readjustment. You know, the liver needs to reassess that this kind of poison isn't coming into the body anymore. And so this period, it takes a period of time for things to reach a balanced state again. So this is why when we take more passive, low impact natural medicines, it can take a little while before we start to feel the effects of it. Anyway, there's so much that could be said on this subject, but those are pretty much my thoughts for now, so I think I'm going to leave it there. Plus, there's a big storm that's about to unleash, so I really need to pack up. So if you've got any questions, or maybe you want me to cover this subject you know, in more detail from other perspectives in the future, then just let me know in the comments down below. So yeah, take it easy, and I'll talk to you again soon.